so glad we're here again, meeting for another painting night. And I really hope tonight I can share something of value and share some painting information that will help you with your journey in the painting field. And here is my easel with my 12 by 16 canvas. And this is the start of the night. My beautiful, gorgeous baby. Oh, can't wait to start on this guy. And then here is my easel, my palette with my colors. And all right. And let me tell you what I will do for the people that are here to actually see some painting and learn something with me, my style painting. And I will start this painting because has all this contrast with the darks and the black and the white. I thought it would be easier for me to cover this canvas and give it a good start with a underpainting of acrylic. Yeah. So as simple as that. I'm going to start this painting today with acrylic, and I'm going to squeeze out. I'm using different brushes for the acrylic, and if you want to do an underpainting in acrylic, you can simply use whatever acrylic you want. It can be the tubed one, it can be these. You have so much acrylic from the days that I used to teach. Those are super decent acrylics. They're from Blick, and I have these like economic sizes because I was teaching almost every day and I had to squeeze out paint, and so I just bought the bigger pots and then put them on the smaller ones and go teach. So squeezed out quite a bit, and this is a glass palette, and it already has some other colors on it, but it doesn't bother me. And I'm going to also be using different brushes for that. Cool. All right, so things that I do and things that I think before I start. So first of all, I want to create the nicest presentation of this dog. I don't want to copy a photo. I don't do photorealism. It's fun to interpret something that you see with your own color palettes and create the impact that you want with your information. Okay? And so I obviously want to make sure I have him on the perfect spot, and it needs to be so we use up the whole canvas and we don't have it too small or too big bleeding out or just on an awkward space or placement. Now, how do we know where the best spot is for it? A lot of people use they divide the canvas in three. You use the thirds and you use the golden arch. There's so many ways you can use make the little squares. Okay, so I don't do any of that. Actually, I did it. At one point, I did it. I used all these different techniques to find the one that actually would adapt to me the best. How do I approach my objects? I envelope it. You've seen me do that before. I'm gonna water down my black, and I'm just gonna make quick lines. For example, I don't want the head to go past this, and I want the nose, I want this guy to I want to show some space because he has such this infinite pose. It's so beautiful and so grandiose. So we need to portray all that. This beautiful pose and this gorgeous eye. So real quick, we can imagine its place in this canvas. I want some space over here, so maybe the nose shouldn't be further out there. And just quick overview. We're gonna just add quick construction lines, just indicate some of this placement here and see. Actually, these are called gesture lines. You can like create the energy and the movement with just these gesture lines like that. Yep. And then you can have a nice feel of placement. And if I end up using, if I put the eye right there. Now another thing I do, guys, is I use a lot of my instincts, my design instincts, and my aesthetic instinct, which is something we don't need to learn. We all have it. We all have this aesthetic instinct. We know exactly if it's awkward, if it's too big, if it's too small. We do. And so we use that to readjust and to change and to try. So we can try, we can make these marks, have a feel of if it's going to be good, if it's too big, if it's too small. And then if it's not good, I will change it. But then at least you didn't invested so much time on drawing every single little thing, and then it's wrong and it is off. So this is much easier to adjust. And I like this quick feel of placement. So let me see if I can add a more. That's where the eye is gonna be. And then there's this dark ear that shows there. So let's go ahead then, and once I have a basic, like this overall pose, I'm going to decide if I want to add more information now, and I will improve on these lines just a tad to help me make sure all is the way I want. And again, remember, this is a still acrylic. I have this really old brush, and I'm just making these marks. I'm investing for my next stage. I think this size is good, but I will not know until I work more. I'm just adding those quick information lines to make sure that this is what I want. And I think I'm keeping my brush wet, and so I'm thinking I can paint and talk at the same time, but at times we have to analyze. I love that. I love it. I love that. I love that. And I love that. And I think this is all good. So, what is the main reason I decided to go with acrylic tonight? I'll tell you why. Because I have so much midtones and darks that I prefer to fill this all up with a darker tone in acrylic and make it very, very quick. And then I can decide on what type of presentation I'm going to create. What kind of color scheme am I going to be using? What colors are being reflected on this black fur? Yeah, it is blue. I see the TV on the back is blue. I do have, so, okay, guys, I'm going to be talking to you if we're really painting my painting and the way my thought process goes. And what I am thinking now is this. I want to start adding and blocking in black and white, because blocking in black and white will help me with the tonal values. I have white in light and I have white in shadow. I have white and shadow. All these values change. And then this way I will be able to create with values my areas of interest and what am I going to keep it light and what am I going to keep it dark, to create a beautiful painting and create the drama that I'm looking for. And so I think I'm pretty okay with this sketch, and I am going to add an indication of this color, because even though it's all this fur, we have to create the anatomy of what we see. Like here, this is the chest, and then here is the metal, which tells me that this is the side of the chest and all the rest is fluff. So why do I need to know that? Because I don't want to have just a whole bunch of white in here. I want to create the anatomy, even though the tonal values are so subtle. But I can make this painting interesting by showing the viewer that I know what I'm doing. Right? I'm not just gonna copy this photo randomly. I need to know what I'm doing, and I understand what this white is and what this red is and what this white is. This white part of the shoulder is part of the chest, and then you need to combine the right tonal values to make sure you can create the turn and create the three-dimensionality of it. And then here we can create the background in such a way that brings all the attention to the king of the night, the face and the eyes. So everything is thought of. Everything has a reason to be. So I'm going to switch into a larger brush, because now I'm just going to block in my darker darks, and then I'm going to create a medium gray for the background. And my darkest gray is mostly black with a little bit of white. And I'm going to put that there where I see the darkest. But also, when I'm placing my values, I want to make sure there's something called rhythm of application. When you apply it in such a way that your brush stroke creates the anatomy right away. Because look, this is the side plane, and then this plane actually comes down here in the mouth. And then that's the side of the head, and then you have this fluffy ear thingies, all this hair. And then the ear is here, it's all dark. And that's that other ear. And as you start adding more and more information, you keep looking at that picture. It's your reference. This is the front plane of the nose. That is the nostril on the other side. And this, the snout is actually very horizontal, just like that. This is the front plane of the snout, and this dark area is the little lip turning on the back there. And so yeah, you start adding all this information, and I have this yellowish, darkish area right here behind, underneath the mouth. That's the ear and the shoulder actually on the back over there. All this here is pretty dark. Let's put that information there. Oh my gosh, what a gorgeous thing. What a gorgeous dog. These shepherd dogs are just so smart. Mine is a border collie. She is just the smartest thing. And they are so loyal. I mean, I can be raving about dogs all night. Dogs are just like awesome. I love the doggies. So, quick education of this dark. Now, I know all this is dark because the fur is all black. What am I gonna do to these tonal values around this area? I don't want too much difference. So I will be creating just a slightly lighter gray, and let's indeed put that in here. That's my value for this side of the doggy. And I'm going to use the same gray value. I think this helps so much for the people that have a hard time figuring out values with color, because it is hard. And if you want to start with grays, it really helps a lot, you figuring out. And when working with acrylics, it's good too, because this is already dry. I can readdress it. If I want to revisit and repaint all the values, I can with acrylic. Is awesome. It dries so fast, and it gives me a nice base to put my oils on top of it. Now, here, I want this still to be the same value for the background. Let's just get some paint into this canvas. This is all blocking in. This is my undertone, my underpainting. Now here, let's see here, we can, oh look, I think I had it a little bit wrong. Yeah, I had it wrong. Good. No problem. We can adjust. Front plane, that's dark. And this is dark too. Let's bring the dark back in there. Good. Taking shape. Look at that. Taking shape, guys. And so I have an easy way to visualize it and then start putting paint on. Now here is this, it's orange, but it's also in shadow. All this is darker. And then we can put the orange there on top of this gray. And that's all gonna be lighter and lighter. And then here on the eye. And this is all gonna be, let's put that tone for the background. Why? because all this is going to be part of the lightest area right here. This is going to be my focal point. So everything else, I'm going to tone it down to bring the eye up there. I'm not going to do white all the way down. Actually, I'm going to lighten up my gray and fill up this chest area with this lighter value. Look at that. Isn't that fun? This is awesome. It saves you so much time trying to figure out the values with color. And then this is all dry in a few minutes, and we can start blocking in the colors with oils. So this is a good value for the white. And by the way, guys, for you that have been following me, you hear me say this all the time. You know that white is not really white, right? Yes, white is not white. And this is gonna be dark. Now, even if I don't see it this way, I'm an artist and I have to interpret this painting and make it a painting. I have to interpret the photo and make it into a painting. This is why I'm making all these decisions. Now here, let me bring in some pure white, just for fun. Let me get this thing here, this white area, and then this is gonna be white. This is going to be lighter. And then this here, the light hits right there, and then the droopy lip right there. This also is going to be light. My brush is kind of like dirty, but it's okay. I can go back later and add more whiter whites. And then here, this is also the light striking here. Look how pretty this looks already. And I'm going to, this is light, this is this is that. I am actually looking at the picture and my brush keeps moving as I look, and I'm adding the brush strokes. Now let's bring up here some more medium gray to create this contrast here on the nostril, on the snout. I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. So I'm coming from a medium to a lighter, and I want this medium tone value all the way around this pup. So big brush, lots of water, make this acrylic fill in your areas. And now that we have this up, we can refine on this stage. We can go back, we can figure out if we have this all kind of correct or not. And then this needs a value too, even though I'm going to use some, let me clean my brush, hold on. I'm getting lazy here. I want to paint kind of fast so that you don't get bored. But I'm going to add my lightest tone right here on this chest. That's going to be my lightest tone. And so this is what I tell my students all the time. Even if you don't see it, you know the fundamentals and you know the information. You know how to use the information to better your painting. And so just add the things there. And that's why I'm very serious about understanding color, or the turning point of color, or the color and shadow. Then you just mix the right thing. Sometimes you don't see what's there, or what's there is actually not good because the photo and the lighting and the reflections. So you make the color, you make it appealing, and you make the right presentation. Now this is dry and we can revisit. And let's now decide on, oh my gosh, I love it already. I like my values very, very much. It is 8:15. I know if we stay together for an hour, it can be quite some time, but I don't want you guys to be so bored watching me paint. But I really think that this information is really good for you guys that are starting to learn, starting to paint. Let me indicate this color here. Let me see. I think it's pretty much on the right place. Yeah. Rhythm of application, guys. Your brush does the work for you. Yep. Let me go a little darker on the darkers. I understand that this is the top of the head, and I know that this is the side plane. It's the side plane. And so we will apply the brush as the side plane. All these things you do to the painting, when you know what you're doing like that, and the applications, it shows, and it gives the assertiveness, and these brush strokes are actually, what's the word I want to use? Confidence. Look at these hairs on the ear. These final details. Now, another thing I always say is you start with a broom and finish it with a needle. Add these big shapes in the beginning. Make your subject sit, and then we leave all the fun things for the end. I think maybe my anatomy here, I need to double check. Yeah. And then sometimes I let my painting sit for a day or two, and then when I readdress it, I see that is a little bit off here and a little bit off there, and you have to fix it, because it doesn't matter how well you paint, if your composition and your marks and it's wrong, so it doesn't matter how well you paint, it's gonna look bad. And so spend a lot of time at this stage and make sure everything is on the right place before you start investing on the next stage. Gorgeous boy, isn't he gorgeous? Oh, yes, he is. Oh my God. Look at this tonal value over here. It's very similar. The color is different, but the value is the same. And this is what confuses a lot of the people. You have an orange color here, but it's pretty much the same value as in shadow. It's all dark. And when you work with blacks and whites, it really helps you see that. Look, I'm dipping my brush only on black now. And I'm readdressing all these black areas. And I'm actually making this almost like hair-like. Just fluffy. There. Look at that. Gorgeous. And then you see the variations of brush strokes. It makes it light. It makes it, it's like the energy in the, so whatever I'm saying. Now I'm mumbling, I'm painting and I'm talking at the same time. Sometimes it's hard. Now let's add this side of the ear. And I can make a little indication of the white there. And I think what I'm gonna do when we get to do color, I'm still using my big brush. Look at that. That's awesome. There, and then there, and then the eye. Let's add the these are the eyelids, and then there, there. So the side of the nose. I'm still checking, guys. It may be a little bit boring, but I don't want to go into the next stage having a wrong drawing. I think this is kind of wrong here. Let's fix with the background color. Let's add that negative space. That helps too. And the nose. And the eye. Just keep adding a little bit more. I think of what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put color on this eye first thing. I know you guys love to watch me make eyes. Why don't we make an eye before we leave, huh? So this is the ear. And I'm having a hard time understanding. It gets some light here, and it comes down, and then this hair kind of whisks back, and then it gets into shadow back here. That's the ear, and that is the fold of the ear. And I think that's too high now. So Debbie, you heard me saying this so many times. A painting is a series of corrections. We keep adjusting until we get it right. Good, 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 good. What about, guys, what about, before we move along, we add one more piece of, let's change one thing here. That's the top of the nostril. It's straight, and then it went up too much, but I think I'm going to there and there. I'm gonna lighten up this, but not so light. Virginia, you're silly. There you go. That's a better value for the black. It's not white. So, and then that's the ear back there. It's black again. And then that comes down. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lighten up this. I wanna have a lighter background here. I think it's going to make it more interesting. I can see the top of the ear, and then that goes in there. So we can make this side lighter. This is in shadow. I know it's in shadow, but I'm gonna keep it white for now because I want a very light shadow. Why? Because I want this face to be so intense, and I want it to give this wow factor. And I can create the wow factor with my values. So, okay, I think we are good. Back and forth, back and forth. I don't care how many times. Just keep working. And I think this should be very, very okay for now. That is my medium gray for the background. One more time. Cleaning this up a little. Just to help me with my basic info. A little water. Even this up some, so when we put the color. Now, another way we can address this is by glazing. Glazing is a really cool technique also. we can learn glazing one of these nights. Ah, gorgeous, baby. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. See, when we get towards the end and we start adding all the details, we can then bring the lighter lights and darker darks. But I think this is gorgeous. It's just very, very pretty, just like that. And I just added the total values, all this basic information. All right. Yeah. Oops. And so, look, I'm mixing. I'm gonna do the eyelid, which is in shadow, is my darkest area there. I'm mixing black with burnt umber, and I'm adding a tad of alizarin crimson to it just to warm it up. And plus, we already decided that this dog is going to have some reds around, red influence on it, so then we can introduce these color interpretations and have these reds everywhere on this black fur. And I love it because black is really not black, but it is all these colors that are influenced by and reflected. So here we have a lot of the blue light and whatever lights that he's in. I think I'm gonna get crazy with these colors. I'm just gonna add it because they're so beautiful. We're gonna make this dog, it's going to make it really colorful and gorgeous. Guys, here I'm adding for the pupil, I am adding a burnt umber with burnt sienna, and I'm rubbing that in there. And then the back of the eyeball also has a little bit of that color. And where's my turpentine? Right here. I'm cleaning my brush. I'm gonna add yellow ochre to the part where the eye is in light. And I'm actually mixing yellow ochre with a little bit of medium yellow just to make it brighter. And it contours. The reason the eye is lighter on this side is because of the light that hits right there. And then the light travels because the eye is like a glass. It's like glass. And so we see the light going across. Okay, I picked a different brush now, and I'm going to mix some black and white, a little bit of gray, a light gray, and I'm going to add this light hitting right there. Just make the eye look like an eye. Just for the fun of it. I'm going to add the highlight right there. And I'm going to go back now into the lightest light of the eye, and I'm going to add an even lighter spot right there. Most likely I will be readdressing this eye some other time, but I think it's so good to have this looking at you or looking at where it's looking, and it's just, it already dictates the painting on the right direction. Not always I start with the eye, but tonight I wanted to start with the eye so you can see. So all this here is dark, guys. Switching brushes again. Let's add some more of this beautiful burnt sienna with the alizarin, and let's just start creating this anatomy around this eye. And then here I'm gonna have this highlight behind the eye, and I'm gonna make this highlight blue Let me clean the brush because I don't want any brown into this brush, and I'm really lazy about switching brushes. Usually I pick one brush and I keep cleaning it, and I go into the other color with a clean brush, but it's the same brush. I can't be holding lots of brushes. Look at that. Oh, gorgeous. So Debbie, you know that you make it, break it, you make it again. Put it larger than you see, and then you can cut back in there. And that's what makes it so pretty. Now here we can go back to that as well. And I'm gonna clean the brush because I'm not switching brushes, and I'm gonna add a little bit of this highlighted fur right there. Oh God, beautiful, beautiful. And so this is me all day long when I paint and I talk to my animals. Yeah. I look at them and I love it, and I put a stroke in, and it's just so wonderful. You know, dog people. I hope you guys had a good time and that you were able to learn something. This basic underpainting with acrylic is great. It saves you a lot of time. You can figure out the values. If it's too dark of a gray, go lighter. You can work with pure white and pure black and all the tonal values in between, and then you just know what color goes on top of that. All right, and so thank you for being here with me again, everyone, and we'll keep watching my posts and sign up for my newsletter on my website, so that when I send a newsletter reminding you of these live videos and promotions, you can always know what's going on. Okay, so it's virginialagoart.com. See ya. Bye guys. And don't forget to subscribe.